Welcome to the Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast with me, Venus O'Hara. An orgasmic lifestyle is about reaching a climax in all areas of life, not just in the bedroom. Here, we dive deep with expert guests on topics like nutrition, spirituality, personal development, sexuality, and much more. Together, we'll explore lifestyle lessons to help you lead a life that's fulfilling, joyful, and unapologetically orgasmic. I'm your guide, Venus O'Hara. Welcome to episode 145 of the Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast with Venus O'Hara. In this new moon episode, we discuss erectile dysfunction, penis size, and penis pumps. We speak with Sam Itshaki, founder of Get Bigger Now, and who is a penis pump expert. I also review the book, A Cult of One, How to Deprogram Yourself from Narcissistic Abuse by Richard Grannon. And the episode ends with a guided meditation with affirmations for embracing change and new beginnings. But first, let me share with you how I started the year, as well as some thoughts on penis pumps. Welcome back. Happy 2026. It's a real pleasure to be back on the podcast after a month's break. I can't believe it. I really needed to just take a break, actually. I had big ideas about even making weekly content over the Christmas period, but my body had other ideas. I needed to hibernate and just sleep and rest and integrate everything that's happened in 2025. And I thought it would be better to do that rather than publish something I wasn't quite happy with. But I want to share with you some of the reflections that I had over the Christmas period. And I do think they are quite profound, and I hope that they are useful to you. And I do hope you have had a wonderful start to the year. And I just want to say that I am very grateful to have you here, and I'm so excited to share everything that we have planned for this year. I've got so many amazing guests lined up. I have about, 4 or 5 months content already recorded. So it's going to be so exciting. So many different topics in the fields of sexuality, relationships, personal development, spirituality, and much more. And anyway, going back to Christmas, I think Christmas is a loaded time. It can be very triggering for many people. It can kind of put you into that frame of mind of analysis about what your life is all about, especially your personal life. And sometimes when we stop working, those distractions fade away. Then we're faced with, what is my life about? At least that's what it's like for me and many more people. And I met a guy in autumn last year. Well, we'd known each other for a few months, but our friendship got a bit closer in autumn, and we had this trauma bond in the most positive way, a trauma bond about our shared hate of Christmas and New Year especially. And it just seemed to be, we were really aligned with the fact that we did not want to be in Barcelona at New Year. We didn't want to be alone. And we were looking into different places where we could travel. And we were sharing ideas, etc. And it's really crazy because we seem to kind of really connect on that shared fear, let's say, or trauma bond in a very positive way. But then over time, it seemed that our plans of how we would spend a new year were not quite aligned, even though the reasoning behind it definitely was. And it ended up that we didn't actually spend time together over the Christmas or the festive period. And I did actually end up spending a lot of time alone. The thing I feared the most was actually what happened to me. And I'm so glad it did, because it really got me down to facing myself at my core in silence and solitude, and really processing a lot of things that have happened to me in 2025, because I had a wonderful year, but there were some, let's say, personal life readjustments that were sometimes a bit painful to accept, but necessary to actually face myself. So at the end of the day, you can do retreats and do different things, but the actual act of just really facing your demons alone, I do think is foundational in the process of self-acceptance, which really does come before self-love. And as I kind of felt like I needed to heal, it was about maybe mid-November, I actually planned a retreat. I was going to go to Alicante in Spain. It's about 5 hours on a train from Barcelona. And I've been to Alicante before over the Christmas period, and it can be wonderful. You can get days with 20 degrees and sun and be on the beach. I do prefer kind of winter beach where it's less crowded, a bit wilder, a bit more melancholic, but still pleasant to be in the sun at that time of year. And I do believe that, retreats are like, especially with the solo travel, you go alone to face yourself in a context that's very supportive and healing, and it can be very transformational. So that was my first idea, thinking, oh yes, I really need this. And also I thought, if I hate Christmas so much, it's kind of nice to do something nice for myself and create a new tradition. And I was part of a 40-day challenge before Christmas, and it seemed like the right thing to do. But then about a week before I was supposed to go, I looked at the weather report for Alicante, and it was going to be raining and cold. And I thought, I can't hug trees in the rain and cold and spend all this money for what? What am I trying to prove? Is it for Instagram? Is it to myself? And then I had this wonderful realization that I didn't need to do anything or go anywhere. And my money will be better spent at a different time of the year doing something better. not better, but maybe just more aligned. And it just felt like a wonderful thing to do. So Christmas for me was I went to a classical music concert on Christmas Eve, which was really nice, with one of my friends who's become a really good friend over 2025. It's one of the people I can really confide in and go deep with and share anything with, which was really nice. And then I went to a dinner with the Barcelona Astrology Society, and it was nice because I was thinking about not going and just being alone at home. But I'm really glad I went, because all these people were talking about very abstract ideas. I mean, astrology is the most basic thing they talk about. Other things that they talk about are much more interesting, like aliens and entities. So even though that's not quite my vibe, it really took me out of my comfort zone and got me thinking bigger, thinking of life in galactic terms rather than just me alone in my apartment, just focusing on my life. So it was a really wonderful experience. And also for New Year, there's lots of pressure about how you start the new year, who you're going to be with, and all of that. But for me, I was just at home in my hoodie and just really, I was in bed by 12:30 or something. So it's just nice to not have to give so much power to those dates, because I do think there's a very strong sense of FOMO around Christmas, and then everyone's like, what are your plans? What are your plans? And it can make us look at our personal life dynamics and make us think, oh my God, this is not working. Something needs to change. But for me, it's just a really nice thing to actually, have that solitude, face yourself and realize that you're okay, and have this feeling of self-acceptance. But going on to penises, which is the topic of today, and new beginnings, I decided to, of all the content I have, I decided to start the year with this topic. I interviewed Sam Itshaki, I think it was a few months ago, but initially I wasn't quite, I didn't know if I was going to have him on the podcast or not, because the topic of penis size can be very sensitive to many men, and I don't want to be part of this narrative or that's actually promoting, or let's say promoting a lack of confidence in men. I want to do the opposite. But when I actually learned a bit more about penis pumps, etc., and confidence and biohacking below the belt, I thought, oh my God. And honestly, his story is Netflix worthy. It's so riveting. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. And also, I actually received a penis pump, which was a very interesting unboxing, let's say. This is something new for me. And I actually made a YouTube video about penis size and a Substack post. And they both, the Substack post especially was very popular. It was really juicy, very popular. And then I started to receive lots of messages from men with photos of their erect penises next to rulers with the actual measurement. And I was tempted to kind of write back and say, hey, you're fine. What? You don't need an extra inch. You're absolutely fine how you are. But I decided not to because I didn't want to start some kind of cock correspondence. I thought that's not really what I want to be known for. But I think, a bit of extra confidence, it can be a good thing, but you don't always need extra centimeters or inches to have that extra confidence. But a penis pump has many uses. It's not just for size. It can be a kind of natural approach to erectile dysfunction or preventing erectile dysfunction as you age, but it's not always about aging. So it's about getting that blood flow when you need it. But we're going to find out a much more about penis pumps during this conversation with Sam Itshaki, and I cannot wait to share it with you, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. And it goes, the actual interview and what he shares goes beyond the topic of penises. Yeah, because last year actually I started 2025 with the first episode was with Dr. Judson Brandeis, who is one of the leading urologists in the US, and that was all about the penis. And last year was a good year for me overall, so I thought let's start again with the penis. Yeah, so sit back, enjoy, and listen. This episode is sponsored by pumpvenus.com. If you've ever wondered whether penis pumps actually work, the answer is yes. Penis pumps are one of the most effective, non-invasive ways to support erections, enhance blood flow, and increase confidence in the bedroom. Whether you're looking to boost size temporarily, support erectile function, or simply elevate pleasure with your partner, penis pumps offer a safe, satisfying, and empowering solution. Many people notice fuller erections, improved stamina, and a heightened sense of body awareness, all from a simple daily ritual. So if you're ready to explore enhanced pleasure and performance, visit pumpvenus.com. That's pumpvenus.com, and discover the power of consistent, mindful pumping. Your pleasure, your confidence, your ritual. The link is also in the show notes, and you get 10% off with the discount code Venus10. Happy pumping! Now it's time for this episode's interview. We speak with Sam Itshaki, founder of Get Bigger Now, and who is a penis pump expert. Enjoy! Sam Itshaki, welcome to the Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast, where every day is a climax. For those who are unfamiliar with your work, could you tell us what you do?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Venus. So my name is Sam Itshaki. I am the CEO of the Dr. Joel Kaplan Company, a brand that has helped over 100,000 men maximize performance in the bedroom. So I provide men with practical medical device tools to just improve erection health, last longer, getting bigger and harder in bed, basically.
Wow. So what inspired you to follow this path?
I actually sort of fell into it. I didn't think that was going to be my life's mission. So it started out of curiosity and boredom. Just a hint of boredom. So my wife was away for the weekend, and I decided to walk into an adult store for the first time in my life. And I didn't really know what I was going to get. I just figured I'll walk and explore and find something fun to try over the weekend. Um, and so I walk in and start exploring, and I see this giant penis pump. It was like this big. Uh, I was a little curious about it, and I thought it was hilarious. So I ended up getting it. And when I got back home, I put it on, and before I tell you what happened, just for those who don't know what a penis pump is, it basically draws blood flow to the penis in a mechanical way. So it's basically guaranteed to happen. And so I put this thing on and I give it a squeeze, and I see my penis gets bigger in the tube. And so I do a few more and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So now, unfortunately, that pump broke after like 3 minutes of use, but I saw firsthand what it could do. And so, I was a little disappointed that my toy for the weekend broke, but I also knew that I found something really cool. And so I just kept trying other pumps. So I try another pump, a water pump, and I kind of injured myself and I couldn't have sex for a week.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, it's been a journey.
So
And
going back, so when
mm,
you first tried this pump, when you said you got bigger and bigger and bigger, were you getting bigger than your maximum erection size? Was it taking
yeah,
you beyond your
so
size?
at
Uh-huh.
first you just get bigger and bigger
Uh-huh.
to the point where your natural erection is. But
Mm.
if you just keep it for a few more minutes and you keep on going, yeah, you get a bigger erection than your normal one,
Is it painful?
depending on the pressure you use. Which is why it's very important to get a pump with a pressure gauge and know what pressure, what's your max pressure. And as a beginner, you want to start very slow.
Mm. And then just a question, is it like, for example, is it like your body reacting to something that's not your mind isn't part of? Because a lot of arousal, happens in the mind and our, arousal, let's say erection or wetness for females is like a response to kind of thoughts and fantasies and excitement, etc. Is this something that's kind of separate? It's just a physiological reaction and you could be thinking about anything else. It just happens. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I completely understand. Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, it is separated, meaning if you're completely not aroused and you use a pump, it will create an erection, even if you're not aroused at all. But the fact that the erection happens, it just feels arousing without stimulation, and so it does make you aroused.
Okay. So what happened?
And
How did it break? Did it just smash or what was it like? What happened?
something at the base of
Mm.
the pump just kind of ripped, and so I couldn't get a vacuum. Yeah.
At least you didn't
Um,
rip.
yeah, at least I didn't rip. Exactly. Yeah, injuries is actually the one thing everyone definitely want to stay away from because you only have one penis. Uh,
Wow.
y- yeah, so I end up trying a few different pumps and things didn't really work as I wanted. So I ended up doing especially after the injury,
Mm.
I realized that I can't just get any pump. And so I went on online forums. There are communities that are dedicated just for people who talk about penis enlargement and
Mm.
erection enhancement and stuff like that. And they're very upfront with each other. Like they don't they share their current stat, and by stat I mean erection size,
Mm.
and they share a log so people can see with the date and how big they got over time. And it's not like they're making anything out of it; they're just giving advice to each other. And
Mm.
so I figured if I listen to what someone who has been pumping for 10 or 20 years has to say, it will work for me and safely.
Mm.
And so I ended up getting a Dr. Joel Kaplan pump because I noticed a lot of people who've been pumping for a long time were using them and recommending them. And it did make a big difference. Now, this is where the story
Literally,
kind of
big
gets,
difference.
yeah, a big difference, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And this is where the story gets pretty crazy. So my wife's family had a rift. And so one side didn't speak to the other side. And so one day, after years of using this specific pump, one day my wife's long lost uncle just contacted her family and he wanted to, just patch things and he wanted the family to just come together. And so I go and meet him for the first time, and her mother, in my wife's mother, introduces me to her uncle, Dr. Joel Kaplan. And she didn't know him growing up. She didn't know his name. She didn't know anything about him.
Wow.
Yeah,
And you
so
knew
I'm
him. You're
just
like, yeah, I've
introduced
got one of
to
your pumps at home.
yeah, exactly. So, we had a lot to talk about. Um, yeah, we spoke about male enhancement and what what men can do to get bigger, harder, and just be better lovers. And yeah, we had a lot to talk about.
Did you mend the family rift with
Yes,
this?
yes, it's all good. Yes.
I'm just imagining this would be an incredible Netflix series. Have you thought about documenting this for
No, but I'm
entertainment
definitely
purposes?
open to it.
It
It's a
sounds
crazy
amazing.
story.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
definitely.
it's just the chance of that happening is just nothing.
Yeah, especially because it's such a private topic, and I know when I
Mm,
receive pictures about this topic, I'm very vigilant because I think sometimes there are lots of companies preying on male insecurity, and I don't want my content to be part of that. But I looked a bit deeper because obviously think a name like Get Bigger Now, that's going to attract a lot of men and maybe a lot of insecure men. So let's talk about that insecurity. Where does it come from, and how can men overcome it? Because I think it's a lot of. I would imagine it's starting in adolescence, in changing rooms and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it may start early.
Mm,
Some boys compare penis size. It's pretty normal actually.
mm,
It's at least at some point.
mm,
But it's not just that. It's also, when guys watch porn,
mm,
they see penises that are just bigger than theirs.
mm,
Some of which is true, some of which isn't, because camera angle and all of that can make a difference, right? When something is professionally made, it's designed to do something, and so I can see why people would be insecure about, but it's also the fact that the average penis size and the average desired size by women is slightly off, not by a lot, but women do want a penis on average. Women
mm.
do want a penis that is slightly above the average, not by a lot,
So
but
tell
it
us
is
about these
above.
stats, so we can envisage that. So what is the stats that women want compared to the average?
So it's between 6 and 7, and the
Mm,
average is between 5 and 6. And so
okay.
it's about between half an inch to an inch off in length.
Mm.
But another thing, a more important fact, is that for men measure their ego, let's call it. They measure the penis in length,
Yeah.
right? And that's what matters to them.
Mm,
But when you speak with women, what matters to women is really girth more than
mm,
anything. And so there are certain tools like penis pumps that can really help with not just length, but especially girth. It's
mm,
something that's pretty easy to actually gain. And so that's one of the reasons why I go out there and speak about this topic, because men are insecure about. And, if someone, it's really the best when someone feels comfortable in their own skin, comfortable being naked, comfortable with their penis size. But the reality is that not everyone is. And so they should know that they can do something about it if they choose to.
mm. So
And
tell
so
us
there are
about
tools like, Mhm.
tell us about getbiggernow.co. So what is .com? What is
Mhm.
what services do you offer? What do you have products?
Yes. Yeah. So on my website, people can find tools, different products for male enhancement.
Mm,
So, um, so one thing people should know is that it's not just about male enhancement in terms of like getting bigger, right? It's that too, but
mm,
also half of all men at some point by the age of 50, right, that report uh, some some form of erectile dysfunction. Now, the way doctors look at erectile dysfunction and the way most people think about is that it's an on and off switch, right? You
mm,
either can have penetrative sex or you can't. But the reality that it's not like that at all. It's a spectrum, and all men, as part of aging, get to the point where the erection quality gets lower and lower. So that includes rigidity and it includes size. And so essentially, all men shrink with time. And so by the age of 60, men can lose up to 20% of their penis size. And
and when
so,
erect.
yes, when
Wh-
erect, correct.
Okay, so
Yeah.
something I
And
came across was the erection hardness scale.
mhm.
Something I learned about was the erection hardness scale. Are you familiar with that? It's like
Yes,
a
it's part of the Shim score.
okay. So tell us about that for those who are unfamiliar.
Yes, so there is a test.
Mm,
It's a very subjective test that
mm,
if you go to a urologist,
mm,
they give you they give you this test to basically, it's a questionnaire where you fill out certain questions.
Mm,
Like, are you satisfied with, your sex life? Are you satisfied with penetrative sex? Things like that. Um,
mm,
it is very subjective.
mm,
So but currently when it comes to modern medicine, it's currently the standard
mm,
when it comes to measuring erection quality.
mm.
There is a company that makes those special smart cock rings. It's basically like a Fitbit for your penis.
Firmtech.
Uh,
I've interviewed Dr.
mhm.
Elliot Justin
Yeah,
for this. Dr. Justin Elliot,
yes.
I think, for his this
Mhm.
I can't remember his name. Is it Elliot Just
Yeah, Elliot
Elliot?
Justin, you got it
Okay.
right. Yeah, he's a good friend.
He's been on here, so it's fascinating that that device he has, Firmtech. That's super
Hmm.
interesting. Also, he links it to cardiovascular health because it's not just about the penis; it's actually an indicator of all-round health and circulation, etc.
Yeah, so essentially we all men get nocturnal erections, meaning
Mm,
erections at night. Um, it's usually during REM sleep. It's not something that's used for sex, it's something that used as almost an exercise.
mm,
And men who don't get those kind of erections definitely have erectile dysfunction,
mm,
and they could have other problems like cardiovascular problems. And so his device, his mission is really to change urology, and at least as far as I know, to change urology and of course also prevent heart, conditions, just detection, early detection. Yeah, so Shim score is let's call it the old subjective way of reporting on one's erections performance.
mm. We've also had Dr. Judson Brandeis on here as well. So you're the third penis expert we have on this podcast. It's always it's really interesting because I have a YouTube channel with 140,000 subscribers, and a lot of men write to me about penis size, too big and too small. Obviously, they're according to their own perceptions. And whenever if I make content about that, it gets so many views. It's just
Exactly.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's
so it's
really
funny
popular.
because yeah, it's funny because men won't really talk about, to
Mm.
each other, but online is a different story.
Yeah.
They're not interested in penis size, but whenever there's a video, it gets the most views.
Wow.
So clearly the interest is there. And yeah, I know Dr. Judson Brandeis. We actually conducted a study together.
Mhm.
My pumps were featured as part of his P-long study to prove that it's possible to elongate the penis, not just elongate, length and girth.
So what else
And
do you offer apart from pumps? Besides pumps, what else do you offer? And what kind of pumps do you offer?
so I have different kind of pumps. There are manual pumps, automatic pumps. Yeah, so pumps are the main thing that I offer, mainly because again, guys care more about length and girth. And so the two products that I recommend for length and girth are penis pumps and penile extenders. It's basically a stretcher. So when you
Mm,
think about stretching, when you stretch regularly, things get elongated. That's that's normal. That's just a normal bodily function. And so stretchers work the same exact way. You just stretch the penis for hours, if you have the time, of course, for hours at a time.
wow.
And it makes a huge difference. Yeah, it's you see results very quickly. But when it comes to all the other benefits, like erection rigidity, for example, if you want to reverse atrophy or prevent atrophy as you age, penis pumps have by far the most benefits when they're
Mm.
used long term. Um, and so and so penis pumps were originally, can you hear me?
Yep. Mhm.
Okay, great. Yeah, so penis pumps were originally created to treat erectile dysfunction way before Viagra or Cialis. So at the time, there weren't any medications. And so penis pumps were the only thing that you can do to treat erectile dysfunction. But then there's a huge difference between using them right before sex just to get an erection, which is the
Mm,
original, intended use, compared to when you use them regularly.
mm,
So when you use pumps regularly, it's kind of like going to the gym. If you go once, your muscles will actually look bigger after one time, but that will subside, right? That's just
mm,
temporary. But what happens when you go to the gym regularly for a few weeks or a few months? You get real gains, permanent gains. And so it's the same exact thing with penis pump. When you use them regularly, you reverse atrophy, you reverse shrinkage, and you can get bigger, and you definitely get a lot harder.
Okay, so my understanding is that you use them before sex to induce an erection if you're having trouble,
Mhm.
and then over time just to kind of have increase your um erectile potential, let's say. So how often would you use it in a penis pump then? Would it be a daily thing or 3 times a week like people recommend for workouts? What kind of how frequent would you recommend using them?
Yes, so it depends on your goals.
Mm,
If you just want to maintain or prevent atrophy, once or twice a week is probably enough, but
mm,
most men want more than that.
mm.
Most men want to increase erection quality, not just maintain. And so the recommendation uh, is to do it 3 times a week. So basically every other day.
Okay, amazing.
Kind of like the gym. You work out one muscle group and then you either don't go to the gym or you work a different muscle group. So it's the same thing.
Okay, how long would that workout last? Would it like a workout kind of thing?
Between 10 and 20 minutes per
Mm,
session, and I recommend to do 2 sessions. So you do, as a beginner, you start with 10 minutes, take a 2 minute break, and you do another 10-minute session. And as you progress, a few weeks later, a few months later, your sessions are longer. You go to 15-minute session and 20-minute session. And same goes for the pressure. As a beginner, you start with a very low pressure. The first couple of weeks are really more about conditioning than anything.
mm,
But most men do report better erections after 2 or 3 weeks. Not necessarily much bigger, but just more rigid, so harder erections. And they report that it's just quicker to get an erection.
mm.
And then every week or so, you just increase the pressure a little bit. And over time, you do longer sessions with higher pressure.
Okay, and besides penis pumps, what else do you offer?
So extenders would be my number
Mm,
two.
mm,
For guys who just want length and they want it quickly, an extender is their best tool.
mm.
It just again works by stretching, and so it just elongate the penis, and it
On a
works
flaccid
very
penis,
quickly.
on a flaccid
Correct.
penis,
Yes.
yeah. And what
Yes.
do they look
Exactly.
like? I've never seen one. What does an extender look like?
I unfortunately I don't have one here. I recently moved,
Oh, okay, no
but
problem.
I'll be happy to send you a picture so you can add it to the video.
Oh, okay, perfect. And how long would you use an extender for in a session?
So you use an extender for minutes at a time.
Mm,
And that is because any constrictive device is something you don't want to wear more than 30 minutes at a time.
mm,
Just because you want to make sure, you know, anything gets blood flow. You don't want to constrict blood flow for more than 30 minutes. But once you take a break, you can use it again and again and again. Before I did all of this, before I started helping men with, erection size and bedroom performance, I
mm,
was a software engineer. And as a software engineer, you sit down a lot, right? You
mm.
program. And so I used to sit in the office with other people around me wearing an extender under my pants. And so I was able to wear it for like 4 hours a day. And my wife basically begged me to stop pretty quickly, actually.
Why? Because it was getting
Yeah,
too big, or what?
it didn't even take that long. She was just like, okay, this is too much. That's enough. And so, I didn't stop right away
You
because
must
a part of it was
make a
for me.
film. This is a
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, I'm a biohacker. I love enhancing every part I can. It doesn't matter if it's muscles or personal growth in general, right? In
Mm.
business, at the gym, yeah, mental, physical, emotional, everything. Just every day is an opportunity to get better. And so I look at that as just one of the ways to get better.
Amazing. So I love this on your Media One sheet. It says biohacking below the belt. So what else can we
Yes.
learn naturally about how else can we enhance penis erectile quality naturally?
So I do have a red light accessory, which
Mhm.
is essentially a red light wrap that goes around the penis pump, and it heats up your penis from the inside and out. Basically, it just shoots red light, the energy gets absorbed, and it translates to heat. And so the heat helps, and also red light has amazing benefits, like all well-documented benefits, where it helps with recovery, right? Muscle recovery, it increases blood flow, it increases nitric oxide. It just, yeah, so it's a great accessory to the penis pump to just accelerate things.
Mm.
So the way I see it, pumps offer the most benefits, but if you want to accelerate things, you should combine a pump with an extender. So you do the
Mm.
extender first to just elongate the penis, and then use a pump to engorge it with blood right after, with the red light to relax everything, which allows you to really fill the tube, the pump. Yeah, so that's the best trio you can get: the penis pump, the extender, and the red light. And then
I'm a
there are things to last longer too.
okay. I'm a big fan of Brian Johnson, the biohacker. Have you ever tried
Yeah.
to collaborate with someone like that who can test all your stuff out? Are you into the biohacking community?
Yeah, yeah, I know Dave Asprey and quite a few other biohackers.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if, sorry, I forgot
Brian
his name.
Johnson.
Brian
Brian
Johnson, thank
Johnson.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Brian Johnson, I actually have his supplement. I don't know if Brian Johnson would be interested in it. I do know that Elliot Justin tried to have him try his constriction ring, his smart cock ring,
Mm.
which, I cannot believe he couldn't get him to do that. And so I just didn't see the point.
Oh, okay. Well, you never know. If you never know if you don't try, you'll never know.
That's true. Yes, you're absolutely right. I will try it actually. Thank
I
you.
think you have an
That's a good
amazing
tip.
story. I think this story could be, it could be a book, it could be Netflix, or just a film. It's really amazing. So tell us about size and confidence. And have you seen? Have you been motivated by the transformations that you have inspired?
Yes, that's actually what keeps me motivated. I've
Mm.
helped over 100,000 men
Mm.
just increase their bedroom performance, and the kind of testimonials I get really, it really keeps me going.
Can you think of
And
one that was really impactful, a testimonial?
yeah, so actually, the first person I helped was way before I became the CEO of this company. I wasn't in the business at all. So back then, when I was just experimenting with all of those penis pumps, I had this friend who had issues, and I didn't know that. Men don't really talk about stuff like that with each other,
Mm.
especially not about problems, right? Um, so, I just figured I'll just tell him that I'm using a penis pump, and that's something that men don't talk about either, let alone let each other know they have a problem. But I decided to share that, I've been using penis pumps for fun, and he ended up sharing with me that he's been having problems, and so basically he had a problem getting it up. He had a problem once, he tried one more time, had a problem the second time, and he just stopped dating altogether. And I just couldn't believe it, because that's such a big life decision to just stop dating. What, you're not going to experience love, you're not going to experience intimacy, you're going to give up on, like, even trying to have a family, unless it's something you specifically don't want. Why would you just give up like that? And so, yeah, he just couldn't take the embarrassment. So
Mm.
he decided just not to date. And so I recommended that he try the same pump. And so he ended up trying it, and long and behold, it helped him, because it's basically an exercise. And the way you overcome fear, the only way to overcome fear, is to just do whatever it is you're afraid of,
Mm.
right? And so, just by using a pump and getting comfortable with getting an erection, and getting it easily, he just learned that it's not a big deal, and he just started dating again.
Mm. And did you
So
notice
that's
this big kind of like transformation in, let's say, how he walked, how he carried himself, and just in overall confidence? Did you notice that from this person?
Yeah, he's a different person.
Uh,
It's funny, because it's not like the erection problem was like an immediate, it didn't make an immediate difference, but in terms of confidence, it made a small difference. But then he got a girlfriend, right? And over time became more and more and more confident.
mm.
And so, And yeah, that's the thing. Confidence is so important. It's basically the X factor in life, right? If you're a person who's more confident, is more likely to speak up at a meeting, is more likely to ask for a raise, is more likely to ask a girl out. It's just such an important factor in life, in success in general. And so, I believe that anything that people can do to get more confident, they should definitely do it. And,
Mm,
feeling that, having that feeling of confidence in the bedroom trickles to all areas of life.
mm. And speaking of confidence, sometimes there's, overconfidence. And I imagine sometimes, with the aging male, I've been with a partner a few years ago who had erectile dysfunction, but was in denial of it. And I found it very difficult to actually address it because sometimes if you address it in the wrong way, it has a counterproductive effect. It just
Right.
then you get these kind of reactions like no one else has complained or it's just you. And I think how do we have these conversations with, let's say, we're all getting older. How can we talk to a male partner about aging and the consequences of that on sexuality, on the sex life, without offending them? I mean, how could a woman, let's say, suggest a penis pump to her partner without him getting really angry or insecure, feeling insecure about it?
Right. So yeah, it's definitely a hard conversation to have, especially because it just, for men, penis size and erection performance is just so tied to our ego. And
Mm,
so I understand why it would be such a big deal. And it's important that women understand that it's a bigger deal than they think it would be, right? Because
mm,
women are very open about sexuality, and if it's very easy to have a conversation with them about stuff like that. But it's not like that for men, and so I think it's important to make sure you have a close relationship with your partner, husband, boyfriend.
mm,
I think that's number one. But also, you could present it as an enhancement thing, right?
mm,
You can say, "Hey, we're getting older, let's use something like that to prevent or to even enhance." You can just say, hey, it would be sexy if you use one, because it is. From personal experience, I can tell you that a lot of men think that their girlfriend or wife wouldn't be that accepting of it. Some of them even hide it for some reason. I don't
mm,
know why. But the ones, I definitely recommend that people share it. Not only share
mm,
that you're using one, incorporate into the lovemaking, right?
mm,
Into sex. Um, and the ones who do find that it helps them, because women find it hot to see the penis grows in the tube.
mm,
It is an erection. So
mm,
I would say make it like a game, right? Make it
mm,
about, hey, let's use it, let's have fun with it, right?
mm.
And you can make it more about enhancement and to increase size, increase rigidity, as opposed to, hey, your penis doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause that's really can be quite sensitive. And so is this an alternative to Viagra then, would you say?
It can be an alternative to Viagra. If someone
Mm,
can get up, they can just use a pump for about 2 or 3 minutes
mm,
right before sex. And it comes with a cock ring that you just roll down. So you basically
mhm,
use the pump to get an erection. You roll down the constriction ring onto the base of the penis to hold the blood in place. And then you remove the pump, right? Then you remove the pressure in the pump. And so the constriction ring keeps the blood in place. So that's one mechanical way to replace Viagra or Cialis. But a lot of men also use it in addition to, right? They either use Viagra or Cialis before they pump, or they just use Viagra or Cialis as needed, but use the pump regularly.
mm. So obviously you've been on this journey from the initial curiosity, going into the adult store to now. So what was been your biggest surprise, the biggest like learning that or something that's really surprised you or impacted you in in your research, let's say?
Uh, there are probably a few things. I guess one of the big surprises is that it doesn't matter how big someone is.
Mm,
Most men want to be bigger.
mm,
We've had, like, I have customers who are on a smaller scale. I have customers who are, 7, 8, 9 inches, and they still want to get bigger. I even had one request for a 15-inch cylinder. Um, yeah.
Wow.
So the standard pump tubes or cylinders that I carry is 9 inches in length, and I have different widths, different diameters.
Mm,
And so as men get thicker, they
mm,
just use the next size, right? And 9 inch is plenty for most men. It covers really like over 95% of men. And so I also have 12-inch cylinders for men who are 7.5 inches or longer, right? They just want to be bigger, and so they want the ability to get more than 8 or 9 inches. But yeah, I had this one request of someone who requested a custom-made 15-inch cylinder. That was just mind-blowing.
Wow, wow. So what are the myths that curious men should be aware of? The myths about penis
So
enlargement.
I would say the number one myth is that it doesn't work. And
Mm,
I understand why. I mean, I get so many emails, and I know everyone else does too. Men and women, by the way, they
mm,
don't discriminate. I get so many emails about erectile dysfunction and enlargement, like things like, oh, take these pills for 3 days and you'll grow 5 inches. And it's like, does anyone like even believe that? So there is a lot of snake oil out there,
mm,
and that's one of the reasons why I started going on podcasts. And I just want people to know that despite all the noise and all the bad promises out there, there are certain things that work. And those things are usually not supplements. Supplements can help with
mm,
erection performance. For example, like things for blood flow, right? L-citrulline, L-arginine. Those are kind of supplements that can increase blood flow throughout the body, and so it has an effect on erection performance. But you're not going to find something that's going to make your penis bigger in a supplement. That's just nonsense. Um, yeah, so that's basically the problem of the male enhancement industry, that there are a ton of just bad promises, but there are solutions that work. And so I go out there and just talk about what actually works, what worked for me personally, and what I've used to help over 100,000 men.
So imagine if you're speaking about this openly, people come to you and share their secrets and open up to you and share their secrets, let's say. How does that feel for you? 'Cause I guess you're kind of becoming more aware of all these people who just don't have anyone to talk to. That happens with me because I'm a sex toy reviewer. That's my
Mhm.
my my. I have 1,000 sex toys in my spare
I
room that
saw,
I've
yeah.
tested in 11 years. And I
Oh,
find when I
yeah.
explain what I do to people, they're always they're telling me their secrets. Like, I've never had an orgasm, or it's really they perceive you as someone who's trustworthy and a custodian
Mhm.
of secrets. Is that the same for you?
It's definitely is the same for me. It's not just about, it goes beyond erection. I find that people just share secrets, like, about the relationship,
Mm,
about, in the bedroom and out. And I just try to help without judging. I think that's the most important thing.
mm,
It's their life and they're gonna do whatever they want. I just try to be there to just help with advice with what I can. But
mm.
yeah, it's essentially the same thing for me.
Mm. And what I found the most interesting connection is how connected sexuality is to our emotional life, not just our emotional relationships, but with ourselves as well. Have you found that the erection is really connected to how we choose partners and just our emotional well-being?
Yes, and a big part is because of confidence, right?
Mm,
When someone is confident, it when someone has an erection problem, it really hurts their confidence, and it really shows in every area of their lives. And so yeah, they're less likely to get a girlfriend, for example, right?
mm,
Or less likely to have a good relationship, because intimacy is the glue in the relationship. And if you're not having intimacy, that's kind of a problem, right? And of course, you can have intimacy without penetrative sex, but it's kind of a big deal for men,
mm,
right? And so, yeah, the difference between someone who has erection problems in terms of confidence and someone who's, rock hard whenever they need to be is enormous.
mm.
And it just shows in every area of their lives.
Amazing. You said it before that you were into personal development in general. I ask all my guests this question: what is the book that changed your life?
That's a good question. Um, I think the most important one, and there are many great books out there. This one may feel less practical,
Mhm.
but it's a huge difference. It's called Start with the Why.
Okay.
Uh, his name is Simon.
I
Simon.
know the name.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
Simon Sinek. I think. Yeah,
yeah.
he's
Okay.
great.
Hmm.
I feel like this is the kind of book that makes you really understand yourself and w- understanding why you're doing things is the most important thing. It what will keep you motivated through the good times and the bad times.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's I think that was one of the first books that personal development books that I read, and it really changed everything.
And was it connected to you? Did it inspire you with this mission of yours with
It
rectifying
was
health?
yes, because when I start going on podcasts and just be out there and teach men about erection health, I needed to know my why. And so
Mm.
yeah, it's definitely something I thought about a lot, and I don't think I would have looked at it that way unless I read that book.
Mm, fantastic. Another question I ask everyone is, what is the phrase or affirmation or quote that you live by?
I think that every day is an opportunity for growth.
Mm,
And I do little things in different areas of life. I find that a lot of people I speak with feel like they don't have time, for example, to go to the gym.
mm,
And a part of it is, or not just the gym, to exercise in general, right? And a part of it is true because life can get very busy, right? Especially for someone who works a lot or for someone who has a family. It just takes a lot of your time and focus. But also, you don't have to do a lot, right? For someone who doesn't do anything when it comes to, let's say, exercise, um, just doing a 10-minute exercise makes a big difference in um, not just like with muscle mass, for example, but also it affects how they feel. And
mm.
so the rule I live by is that every day is an opportunity for growth, and I just spend time here and there, like even a little bit of time, right? And so a good example is I have a pull-up bar, and it's one of my favorite exercises. You don't need time to do pull-ups. You just go,
Mm,
you do a few pull-ups if you're a beginner, and you just go about your day. It takes a minute,
mm,
right? If you're more advanced, maybe it will take you 2 minutes, but people have 2 minutes to spare.
mm.
And it made such a big difference in my life. Just doing that made a big difference in my life. And so I realized that if you look at life like, every day is an opportunity for growth and you do little things everywhere, it adds up big time. And it doesn't feel like you have to work hard because, you don't have to go to the gym and sweat for 2 hours if you don't want to. If you do, that's great, but you don't have to. You can just do a little bit here and there when you can, but do it often, and it makes a big difference. And I'm talking about in every area of
Yeah,
life, not just exercise.
I agree so much because the premise of this podcast actually is to reach a climax in all areas of life. So we don't just talk about sexuality, it's also spirituality and personal development and wellness and nutrition, things like that. Because I kind of wanted to get out of just being sexuality because I wanted to kind of create something that was the content that I'm interested in. So yeah, it's about reaching its climax, figurative climax everywhere, so it's super
That's
important.
your why.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just think it's about life optimization, but it's funny because like
Mhm.
the area of my life that's lacking the most is the movement because I tend to spend a lot of time in my head, so I'm really pushing. I'm pushing myself to go to the gym more. I walk everywhere. I dance as well, so I'm
Great.
trying to make it part of my identity because I think I'm studying a lot of self concept because when it's self concept, there's no inner battle. You just do it. You know what I mean.
Yeah, you have to
Mm,
work with what you're motivated about. That's actually
mm,
why I got that pull-up bar because to me that's something that feels fun and it doesn't feel like work. So I started
mm,
doing it, and over time I was doing more and more, and it changed my body's composition, and I started feeling great. And so I end up adding more stuff that I enjoy. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Go with your motivation, go with what's fun, like dancing.
Mm.
I think it's a great way of incorporating moving into your lifestyle.
Yeah, and tonight I'm going to go for a beach walk. Yeah, to finish my
That's
day
fun.
in Barcelona. Yeah.
Nice. That's
So
great.
where can people find you?
So anyone who wants to know more about what I do or is interested in getting a pump, they can go to getbiggernow.com, or they can find me on pretty much any social media. It's Mr. MR Get Bigger Now. That's my handle.
Okay. Well, I'll be waiting for the Netflix special. I think you've got such potential. I mean,
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I think you should really look into that if you want to, of course. But I think that I could just, when you were speaking, I can just see the images already. And they do say, reality is stranger than fiction.
Sometimes it is. Yes. Yeah. I would love to talk about.
Amazing. Well, hopefully that will happen one day. And I hope I get an invite to the premiere.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the Orgasmic Lifestyle podcast.
Thank you for having me, Venus.
The book I'm reading now is A Cult of One: How to Deprogram Yourself from Narcissistic Abuse by Richard Grannon. I discovered Richard Grannon on YouTube, and his videos are so engaging. He has a very kind of direct approach to the topic of narcissistic abuse. He's not, he's kind of very direct, which I really like about him, and he's also very eloquent. Before I go into the book in more detail, I would like to explain the title, A Cult of One. It wasn't apparent to me at first, but a cult of one refers to, let's say, the narcissist or the person displaying narcissistic behaviors, because we should not label people, unless you're a psychiatrist and they go through some assessment. But the person displaying those behaviors is like the guru of a cult. And then they have one leader, which could be you if you are someone who has been experiencing this. And people with narcissistic tendencies tend to attract very empathetic people into their lives. It's like a mutual exchange. And he talks about this codependence in a way which is really illuminating, actually. He talks about there being two circles of this codependence. And there's a codependent who is the parasite and the codependent who is the overgiver. And you can imagine who is who in that scenario. And also, let me just read the back of this book. It says, are you truly taking care of yourself, or are you too busy taking care of everyone else? So many of us find it easier to love other people than to love ourselves. We struggle to put our own needs first and have a hard time asking for what we want, let alone going after it. Instead, we attach ourselves to selfish people, trying over and over to win love from those who simply can't offer it. If that sounds familiar, you may be the victim of narcissistic abuse. Yes, and it says here in A Cult of One, Richard Grannon exposes the insidious effects of narcissistic abuse and shares his own winding road to recognition and recovery. And insidious is really a word that I would, describe or ascribe to this type of situation, because sometimes it's not really clear, and then you're kind of in it. You're like, oh my god, what happened? Yeah, it's really interesting. But I think it's interesting to actually really take full responsibility. And I'm someone who has been in my life, I have been an overgiver. And that's something that I started to become aware of at the beginning of last year. And I started to do lots of different healing modalities and therapies with different experts. Some were spiritual, some were psychological, and some were quite holistic. So I've just experienced many, many things to try and get to the core of why I felt like I needed to give, what my why was behind all of this giving and being over useful to people. I think I was doing it for approval, feeling like I wasn't enough as I am. And that's been a big wake-up call. So last year, I actually started to take my power back and stop overgiving. And that did kind of surprise some people around me who were the recipients of my insecure generosity, let's say. And sometimes they were just not really impressed or not really supportive of this decision to actually start really taking my power back and being less of an overgiver and just focusing on myself. And it really is, and getting back to the foundations of self-acceptance and self-love. And last year, I actually launched my first audio course on Insight Timer, and it's called the 8 Pillars of Self-Love. I'm going to leave a link to it in the show notes. And the 8 pillars are, if I remember right now off the top of my head, they are self-acceptance, which is really foundational. But before self-acceptance, there is self-compassion. Then there is self-respect, self-confidence, self-expression, self-care, and what else is there? Self-pleasure. I might have missed one out there. But basically, when I was recording the course, when I went through the self-compassion, that was kind of quite triggering for me, because it's a modality that I've given to so many different people over the last couple of years. And that tends to be the pillar that most people struggle with. But for me, I would say it was self-respect. Self-respect has been quite challenging for me. I have not respected my own boundaries, and that is really key to my own transformation. And sometimes when you put better boundaries in place, you will see people naturally fall away from your life, and that can feel lonely. I've often said that the path of integrity is a lonely one, and I really do believe that when you start making these choices. But you have to really trust that, more aligned people who are equally giving, will come into your life, and people who also value reciprocity. So I'm looking at what my wounds are in attracting people who have pretty much taken advantage of my overgiving nature and my generosity. And there is something that really was a big learning for me, the concept of intermittent reward. That is one of the most addictive psychological behaviors. Is it behavior that exists? And intermittent reward is like the same thing that makes people go to a casino or to gamble or play the lottery. It's like you lose 9 times, but you win 1 time, and you those 9 times don't really put you off, because you still got that small bit of hope, that breadcrumb that's going to come of that reward can be very deceptive. And that's what happens in relationships. We put up with 90% of bad stuff because we believe in that little nugget of goodness, so that 10% that can actually represent joy and alignment and etc. And we tend to put that on a pedestal. So to actually deprogram yourself from such traits is very difficult. But we have to get back to the core, and really see where it's coming from and where these traits, why are they there? And why don't you give yourself the love that you crave? Why do you need to turn to someone else for that validation? So that's something that I've been going through a lot. And I think a lot of my life, I've felt pretty invisible. So it might sound very weird to say as someone who is making lots of content online, but even with content, actually, I think it's really important to, even for myself, is like to really look at what's the why behind sharing a post. Is it for likes? Is it for validation? Or do I actually really want to share a message that's empowering, that will have impact and help my own business and my own lifestyle, as well as helping others? It's like win-win. Or is it just for the validation? Would I be okay if there was just 5 likes on a post? That kind of thing. It's like going back to the core, which is very similar to my experience over the Christmas period. But also, I started getting into this topic of narcissistic abuse. I started getting very interested in it last year, actually. I interviewed Jocelyn Norton. That's one of the most listened to episodes of 2025, and she is a narcissistic abuse recovery coach. And it was so interesting because I saw something on Instagram that she was doing a live Instagram with someone who is a spiritual influencer, and they were talking about the spiritual reasons behind attracting a narcissist and what it really means in spiritual terms, which that's not for everyone, but I just thought it was super interesting, and I wanted to discover more. So when we connected and we chatted, it kind of opened up a rabbit hole for me. I was just so interested in this topic. I think sometimes when you go through something, I don't know about you, but I find I'm really interested in analysis and trying to evaluate what I was doing and why I was doing certain things and why I was attracting certain dynamics into my life, and also connecting them with things that I've been through earlier in my younger years, and understanding that certain dynamics can feel safe even if they are not healthy, because they feel familiar, and that can be a very hard thing to face sometimes. But yeah, having better standards is definitely the way forward. But anyway, let me just share with you some of these, something from the book, which can maybe help you to recognize narcissistic tendencies. And I just wanted to say that there are people who are throwing the narcissist word around a lot, especially on Instagram and other platforms. But it's important to understand that what it means, and it actually does, to say that someone's a narcissist would need psychiatric intervention. But all of us are guilty of narcissistic behaviors at some time or another. But let me just read a little extract from the book for you. If you can see a consistent pattern of more than 6 of the following, it's time to stop kidding yourself and accept that your partner is at least an irredeemable, I can't even see, I need to go wear glasses, at least an irredeemable shift, if not, or shit. I was like, is he saying that? Or if not, an actual clinical malignant narcissist. So here are the 9 points. So we're looking for 6 here. So excessive need for admiration, bullying, exploitative interpersonal style, vindictive, entitled, belief in their own specialness, extremely envious, obsessed with a fantasy-based version of themselves, lacking empathy, and massive arrogance. Yeah, so maybe time to have a little assessment there. Something else I really love from this book I just read yesterday. I haven't finished reading it yet. I'm just under halfway through, and it's one of those books where I'm going to be sad that when it ends, because it's just so good. It's really good, and I would really recommend checking out Richard Grannon on YouTube. He's just straight to the point, and he's not airy-fairy at all. He's very, very grounded. And also for the empaths out there, it's not going to be like, oh yeah, you poor empath. It's going to be like, take responsibility for your part in this as well, which is something that I definitely think is necessary. Okay, let me read another little bit, which I really liked. If we can get intimacy, love, and sex right, our lives can be heavenly. If we get them wrong, and so many do, it becomes hell on earth. If you're not careful, you will witness your partner change into a demon before your very eyes. Oh my God. And then another little bit I liked, which is actually from the same page. The idea we have now in modern culture that sex isn't psychologically risky, that bonds can be formed and broken at will with no cost, and that promiscuity is a sensible way to run our lives is really very dangerous. I love this because I think sometimes there is an assumption that, being sexually liberal or liberating, but can be, us being sexually promiscuous can be liberating, but there's so many things at play that go beyond the body in sexual encounters and intimacy. That's at least my perspective, and it's a perspective of many people. I don't want to shame anyone who does enjoy promiscuity, but I think we have to understand what the why behind actions are. And, when we connect with other people, we are kind of giving them permission in a way to have some sort of power over us. And we have to be very careful about who we let into our lives. And sometimes we are not seeing things clearly when we are horny. It's like, I do believe that horniness or needing love or whatever can almost be like a drunkenness that really alters your perception. So going back to self-love and self-acceptance and having that solitude to be able and realize and silence and be able to hold yourself and process things and really get clarity on what you want, I think is essential in any journey of self-love. And I do believe that once you go through these types of healings or this process of self-acceptance and self-love, you will most likely attract more aligned love, and also know that you don't need to give as much. I think then reciprocity is key. It's like a dance. I give this much, you give this much. It doesn't always have to be the same thing, but it can be it's more or less in equal measures, and have better standards, better boundaries, and you will have a better life, which is a great message to start the year. And that is A Cult of One: How to Deprogram Yourself from Narcissistic Abuse by Richard Grannon. Now it's time for this episode's meditation. Please don't listen to this while driving or operating machinery. Instead, take a break from whatever you're doing, get comfortable, take a deep breath, and enjoy. I am open to new beginnings. I am ready for change. I am open to growth and possibility. I am exactly where I need to be. I welcome new beginnings with openness and trust. I release what no longer serves me. I am creating space for something better. I am open to new beginnings. I am ready for change. I am safe to start over. I am moving forward with clarity. I trust the timing of my life. I trust the path unfolding before me. I am creating space for something better. I am open to new beginnings. I am ready for change. I am trusting the process. I am welcoming fresh energy into my life. I am allowed to begin again as many times as I need. I step forward with curiosity. I'm creating space for something better. I am open to new beginnings. I am ready for change. I am releasing the past with ease. I am grounded as I move forward. I am grounded in self-trust. I embrace who I am becoming. I am creating space for something better. I am open to new beginnings. I am ready for change. I am allowed to begin again. I am becoming who I'm meant to be. I'm excited about what is unfolding for me. I'm excited about new possibilities. I am ready for what comes next. I am open to new beginnings. I am ready for change. I am stepping into a new chapter. I'm aligned with what's next for me. I allow life to surprise me in beautiful ways. I am supported as I grow, change, and evolve. I am creating space for something better. This episode is sponsored by pumpvenus.com. If you've ever wondered whether penis pumps actually work, the answer is yes. Penis pumps are one of the most effective, non-invasive ways to support erections, enhance blood flow, and increase confidence in the bedroom. Whether you're looking to boost size temporarily, support erectile function, or simply elevate pleasure with your partner, penis pumps offer a safe, satisfying, and empowering solution. Many people notice fuller erections, improved stamina, and a heightened sense of body awareness, all from a simple daily ritual. So if you're ready to explore enhanced pleasure and performance, visit pumpvenus.com. That's pumpvenus.com, and discover the power of consistent, mindful pumping. Your pleasure, your confidence, your ritual. The link is also in the show notes, and you get 10% off with the discount code Venus10. Happy pumping! To find out more about me and my orgasmic lifestyle, visit venusohara.org or follow me on Instagram. The Orgasmic Lifestyle is also on Substack and YouTube, where you can watch all the interviews with our experts. All the links are in the show notes below. Make sure to search for the Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast by Venus O'Hara in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere podcasts are found. And click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks for listening. Have an orgasmic week, and make sure every day is a climax.